Top of the day, beautiful people. I need whoever just came into YouTube, let me know if you can hear my voice. I was messing with the mic this morning. I just want to make sure I'm still on. Yes, you can hear me. No, or can you hear me? Because I started messing with it after I hit live. I bumped something. I just need to make sure the sound is good on YouTube. Can y'all hear me on YouTube? Thumbs up. Yes, sweet. Okay, thank you. All right, top of the day, everybody. Top of the day. Let's get started here. It is Monday, people. Happy Monday, guys. Like, we're literally almost at the half. We just started 2020, and we're literally almost at the halfway point of being through the first month. It's crazy how fast time is going. All right, y'all. Happy Monday. It is January the 11th, 2021, day 48 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 3-year consecutive day count, day 717. Today, we are going to be reading Exodus 16, 17, and 18. And then we're going to hop back in and pick up where we left off yesterday. Betwabu, great rising, peace and blessings, salutations. All right, beautiful people. Betwabu. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead with the Shema. Need to get moving because the kids, they looked like they was turning over. I'm like, yeah. They went to bed just a little bit early last night. So I was like, yeah, I don't need the shenanigans this morning. All right, y'all. Remember, the Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6, and we begin it, at verse 3. I do recommend that you read the whole chapter, people. Hear, therefore, Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, and the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuah, our God, he is one God. And you shall love Yahuah, our God, with all our heart, and with all our soul, and with all our might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuah our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuah our God as he has commanded us. Okay, beautiful people. Let me pull this up real quick so I got it ready. I don't even know how that's all the way down here. Blessing. Okay, I'll pull that up before we get done. All right, let's pull up Exodus. Let's see, okay. Able. Okay. Minimize this a little bit. Bring YouTube back up here on my screen. Okay. All right, y'all. Okay. Exodus chapter 16. Then the whole community of Israel set out from Elim and journeyed into the wilderness of Sin between Elim and Mount Sinai. They arrived there on the 15th day of the second month, 1 month after leaving the land of Egypt. There too, the whole community of Israel complained about Moses and Aaron. Quick question, real quick, if you can type it in. How do we know it's the 15th day of the month? Here's a hint. You can look in the sky and one of the luminaries will be at a certain phase. What phase is that? And which luminary? Is it the sun or the moon? And what phase are they at? Anybody know? Anybody remember the 15th of the month? How do we know it's the middle of the month? I'll wait a couple more seconds, see if anybody pop it in. What phase is the luminary that gives us light, that shows what month we in, and the feast days, what phase is it at? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? 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 All right. It's the full moon. The 15th day of the month is always the full moon. Remember that. Almost, Shayla. Hold on. What you say? Nope. The moon is completely full. The right side being full is the first quarter. Remember, it's the new moon, first quarter, full moon. When the left half is full is the third quarter. Then it starts all over the full moon again. Right? Okay. Yes, the full. Thank you. Full moon. Just wanted to check, make sure everybody paid attention. Okay. Then Yahuah said, I'm sorry, go back up. If only, hold on. They arrived there on the 15th day of the second month, 1 month after leaving the land of Egypt. There too, the whole community of Israel complained about Moses and Aaron. If only Yahuah had killed us back in Egypt, they moaned. There we sat around pots filled with meat and ate all the bread we wanted. But now you have brought us into this wilderness to starve us all to death. Then Yahuah said to Moses, look, I'm going to rain down food from heaven for you. Each day, the people can go out and pick up as much food as they need for that day. I will test them in this to see whether or not they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day, they will gather food, and when they prepare it, there will be twice as much as usual. And this food that Yahuah rained down was manna. He rained down manna from heaven. So Moses and Aaron said to all the people of Israel, by evening you will realize it was Yahuah who brought you out of the land of Egypt. In the morning you will see the glory of Yahuah because he has heard your complaints, which are against him, not against us. What have we done that you should complain about us? Then Moses added, Yahuah will give you meat to eat in the evening and bread to satisfy you in the morning, for he has heard all your complaints against him. What have we done? Yes, your complaints are against Yahuah and not against us. Then Moses said to Aaron, announce this to the entire community of Israel. Present yourselves before Yahuah, for he has heard your complaining. And as Aaron spoke to the whole community of Israel, they looked out toward the wilderness, and there they could see the awesome glory of Yahuah in the cloud. Then Yahuah said to Moses, I have heard the Israelites' complaints. Now tell them, in the evening you will have meat to eat, and in the morning you will have all the bread you want. Then you will know that I am Yahuah, your God. That evening, vast numbers of quail flew in and covered the camp, and the next morning the area around the camp was wet with dew. When the dew evaporated, a flaky substance as fine as frost blanketed the ground. The Israelites were puzzled when they saw it. What is this? They asked each other. They had no idea what it was. Then Moses told them, it is the food Yahuah has given you to eat. These are Yahuah's instructions. Each household should gather as much as it needs. Pick up 2 quarts for each person in your tent. So the people of Israel did as they were told. Some gathered a lot, some only a little. But when they measured it out, everyone had just enough. So those who had bigger households, like say with 8 people, would gather in way more than a household of 4 would have. That's why some gathered little and some gathered much, but it was enough to suffice their own individual household. 2 quarts per person, right? Okay. Then Moses told them, do not keep any of it until morning. But some of them didn't listen and kept some of it until morning. But by then it was full of maggots and had a terrible smell. Moses was very angry with them. After this, the people gathered the food morning by morning, each family according to its need. And as the sun became hot, the flakes they had not picked up melted and disappeared. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much as usual, 4 quarts for each person instead of 2. Then all the leaders of the community came and asked Moses for an explanation. He told them, this is what Yahuah commanded. Tomorrow will be a complete day of rest, a holy Sabbath day set apart for Yahuah. So bake or boil as much as you want today and set aside what is left for tomorrow. Even with that, my household, I know a lot of my family members that practice the Sabbath, we try our best, absolute best, to prepare everything we need to do on the 6th day, like the day of preparation. Like today is a day of preparation because tomorrow is a Sabbath. So if you possibly can, you should put this into practice. If you cook dinner every day, go ahead and prep your dinner and stuff for tomorrow. Like if you need to cook it or whatever, prepare everything. You can wrap it up, put it up that way. The only thing they need to do is heat it up. Now I know the Jewish people go as far as like not even cutting on their stoves and stuff or using power and all that. Is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. We're learning and we're doing as much as we think we should be doing. So I do with everything, and I try not to clean. I clean all the time because I literally work from the house when I'm not going to the office to get a delivery, right? So I'm here all day, so I have a habit of cleaning throughout the day, whether I'm schooling the children or working or what have you. And sometimes I find myself trying to do laundry on a Sabbath day. Like when I first started trying to keep it, it was so hard not to clean on that day. I'm like, Pam, stop it. Get us together. Listen, if you was in the wilderness, girl, you'd be dead right now. Stop it. That laundry ain't going nowhere. So like literally, it was like a struggle because I had been doing it so long. I was like, Father, I don't want to be one of the ones when we get out to the wilderness and you deal with the rebels, because he said this time, just like he dealt with the rebels in the wilderness, he's going to deal with the rebels in the wilderness again. Because you know it's going to be some hard-headed regions among us. If we know our people, they hard-headed. And we could be hard-headed at times. But anyway, without saying too much, but it was like the first few times, like, okay, oh man. Then I forget to cook something. I'm like, and then I find myself cooking. I was like, oh, Father, forgive me. Wait, I'm cooking. So like I would be like almost having panic attacks and stuff, knowing that y'all wasn't gonna strike me down. But the whole point is I want to break myself out of doing what I had unconsciously been doing because I had been ignorant of Yahuah's law, statutes, and commands. So it took me some time to get in the groove of it. And even my children, sometimes they'll we always had this rule anyway, like no video games on Sundays when we were going to church on Sunday. So this is the Lord's Day, don't get your Bible, we're gonna read scripture and stuff and all that or whatever, so that's something me and my husband put into play for a while. But when we kind of came out to church, we still kind of stuck with that a little bit, but I said all that to say, even with the children, we get them to observe the Sabbath. So they count as like, how many days to the Sabbath? Are we counting up? Or somebody said, can we get the game courts? It's the Sabbath, Josiah. No, go rest. Get a book or something. Let's go outside and ride our bikes. It's funny listening to them talk because they're also tracking with me. They may forget because they're younger. They're like 10 and under, the smaller ones. But Jeremiah, the older ones, they know. But it's good to get in the habit of having your household practice it, So with all that is within you, especially moms who pretty much take care of everything in the house, you literally have to discipline yourself. Okay, if this needs to be done today, it's the day of preparation. Okay, we'll do as much laundry as we need. If it's something that we're going to wear tomorrow that we need to wash today, we're going to wash that. Okay, what we eating tomorrow? It's the day of preparation. You simply just need to learn how to prepare the day ahead. Then the Sabbath is really peaceful. Sometime if you don't want to cook or you got stuff in the house to do, like cold plates where they can snap on, do that or whatever. Just begin to practice it now, so you're not doing those things that you normally do every day that's considered work to you, whether you're actually working a job or whether you're actually working from the home. Because sometimes when you're working, doing everything from home, the duties can kind of become grade and not such a fine line, and it's mixed because you just between calls or emails, pop in, load of laundry, doing this, doing that, cooking all day, snacks, all this. Okay, come on, let's sit here and let's do the spelling test. So you have to take extra special precaution and have to be diligent and like on purpose to make yourself begin to keep those. And you really, after you get the hang of it, it's not, because at first we were doing it almost seemed like a chore until Yahuah was just like, calm down and just relax. That stuff gonna be there tomorrow. Just rest. The Sabbath is a blessing for you, so you don't burn yourself out. Chill out. So, and I remember my sister, she's like, girl, oh, I didn't get a chance to cook. Oh my gosh, the kids gonna starve tomorrow. Like we was going through a thing when we first started trying to literally keep to the Sabbath. Like Alicia, I don't know if she's here, she might be at work already, but we was going through a thing. It's like, okay, look, just breathe. We're gonna get this down, just so. But as you get in the habit of doing, it's like, okay, Sabbath tomorrow, I need to get that done. Boom, that don't get done. Oh, well, it'll be there after the Sabbath. Let's keep moving. So as much as you can, begin trying to practice it, y'all. So, okay, I read this again. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much as usual, 4 quarts for each person instead of 2. Then all the leaders of the community came and asked Moses for an explanation. He told them, this is what Yahuah commanded. Tomorrow will be a complete day of rest, a holy Sabbath day set apart for Yahuah. So bake or boil as much as you want today and set aside what is left for tomorrow. So they put aside some until morning, just as Moses had commanded. And in the morning, the leftover food was wholesome and good, without maggots or odor. Moses said, eat this food today, for today is a Sabbath day dedicated to Yahuah. There will be no food on the ground today. You may gather the food for 6 days, but the 7th day is a Sabbath day. There will be no food on the ground that day. So some of the people went out anyway, hard-headed regents. Some of the people went out anyway on the 7th day, and they found no food. Then Yahuah asked Moses, how long will these people refuse to obey my commands and instructions? They must realize that the Sabbath day is Yahuah's gift to you. This is why he gives you a 2-day supply on the 6th day, so there will be enough for 2 days. On the 7th day, you must each stay in your place. Do not go out to pick up food on the 7th day. So the people did not gather any food on the 7th day. Let me make a comment here about something. Okay, this is also something that we noticed and realized, right, as we began to practice, right? So, of course, being in the New Testament all the time and these things coming up, I said, well, what about the scripture where JC said that the Sabbath is made for man? Then remember the portion in the New Testament where one of the guys came up to JC and he said, okay, so what if a man's ox falls into a hole? Should we not get it out? Then something clicked this time when I read that. Pay attention to what I'm about to say to y'all. Okay, right here, Yahuah just says, on the 7th day, you must each stay in your place. And it goes on to say, do not go out to pick up any food on the 7th day. So the people did not gather any food on the 7th day. So we know that the day before we are to be preparing, right? We're to be preparing for the day of rest. And not only do we rest, but our animals also rest, right? Y'all tracking with me? Listen to what I'm about to say. So if you're resting and you're not to go out your place and your animals are resting, say if you got a nice little herd or whatever, and you're laying, by this time, you're laying, well, they're all in a safe place anyway, but just say you're at your property and you got cows and stuff like that. You've been living there for a while. Even if you just got there, you would walk your property, right? You got animals, you would check your property for any kind of defects in the ground. If you got holes that some animal could fall into, you would kind of rope it off or whatever it is, proof that so nobody, man or beast, falls into that hole, right? So here's the thing. On the day of preparation, you should also have your animals reined in, so that way, because you're to stay in, you need to make sure that your animals can't get out, at least beyond the bounds where they are allowed, unless I guess you're taking your animals on a walk or something. I don't know. I'm not a sheep herder, so I don't know if they take their animals for a walk. Not to think about dogs. But anyway, you have this place where your animals are at, right? So if you prepared on the day of preparation, why would your animals be out in a place they shouldn't be anyway? First of all, I think when he asked that question, it was a question to trip him up. He said, okay, so what if your animal falls into the pit? Should we just let the animal stay in the pit? Okay, first of all the community, all of Israel, and even your surrounding neighbors, everybody should be in their own place. First of all, if you was keeping the Sabbath, how you even know that the animal got out in the first place? Second of all, why didn't you prepare so your animal wouldn't fall into a ditch? Now, see, what happens is you would not have known that your animal fell into a ditch if you stayed in your place, right? You wouldn't find that out if that happened. You wouldn't find that out until the day after the Sabbath when you went out, and neither should any of your neighbors know that your animal had fallen into a ditch if they had not gone out of their place either, right? The ox would not have fallen into the ditch had he prepared the animals on the previous day for the Sabbath. Exactly. Now, that's exactly what I'm talking. This right here is a good example of when we're ignorant of the laws of Yah. We get tripped up by technicalities, and people begin to fight on things that you should never have been fighting on in the first place. Because the response that JC should have given him is like, first of all, why was you out your house? Like, how did you know your animal fell into a ditch? Why didn't you prepare your animal to be kept in a safe place on a Sabbath? Y'all get what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm saying? So it's things like that that we don't even pick up when we don't know the laws of Yah. If we would have just a basic understanding of what Yahuah said, some things it would be impossible for some things to happen because you would have prepared. And these instances of oops won't happen to you, right? Think about that. That's why it's so pertinent that we know what Yahuah has personally said, and not a lot of time things that's regurgitated to us. I call it peddling trash from the pulpit to the pews, and because a lot of time when people sitting, they're just listening. No, I ain't gonna say nobody, because I eventually did started going back, checking behind my pastor and stuff like, wait, what? This did not say that. And I took a whole page of notes of what you said. And this don't even seem in context of what they was talking about. So that's what made me start really going. So I just wanted to bring out that example so y'all can start thinking about stuff, right? Because sometimes people will ask you questions to trip you up. And even sometimes when they go to trip you up, they could themselves be ignorant of Yahuah's laws, or they may know Yahuah's laws and trying to see how much you really know, because they really know what they should be doing. Oh, okay, so if my ox falls into a hole, if my ox falls into the hole on the Sabbath, should I not pull it out? First of all, my G, why was you out your house? Did not Yahuah's command say, do not go out your place on the Sabbath? Why didn't you prepare? And matter of fact, did you see your ox, or did your neighbor see your ox fall into that? Because somebody was out of line. Somebody was sinning. Somebody was not keeping the commands of Yah. Who was out their house? Who was out their house? Because y'all about to get in trouble. It's those things right there. And a lot of time we just skip over those things and nobody pays attention, and you just keep going on, and we find ourselves in fallacy down the line somewhere, right? Simple things like that, but it's really clear. I'm going to read it again. Verse 27. Some of the people went out anyway on the seventh day, but they found no food. They found no manna. Yahuah asked Moses, how long will these people refuse to obey my commands and instructions? They must realize that the Sabbath is Yahuah's gift to you. That is why he gives you a 2-day supply on the 6th, so there will be enough for 2 days. On the Sabbath day, you must each stay in your place. Do not go out and pick up food on the 7th day. So the people did not gather food on the 7th day. All right, I'm about to read on, but let me bring out one more thing from, I'm not going to say personal experience because I was in the house. Now, my baby sister, as we're learning how to keep the Sabbath and we're practicing these things, and mind you, she has teenagers, right? She has 4 kids, but she has teenagers, and all of them, it's been a couple years now, but they were all in high school. And you know how high school has football games and stuff, right? So here in not here, but there in Newport News, Virginia, all the high schools, instead of having the games at the high schools, there's this place, it's called Todd Stadium, and all the high schools in the surrounding areas, they come to Todd Stadium to play their games. If this school is going up against this school, all the games are held at Todd Stadium, right? So in their school fields, they practice on their school fields, but for the big games, everybody comes to Todd Stadium, right? They meet up at Todd Stadium for the official games. This particular time, and when we found out we was keeping it, and I think my sister Leisha, the one next to me, she said, it's a Sabbath. You sure you want to let them go? Girl, you know how teenagers get, but mom, it's a homecoming game. And you know how teenagers get, right? If you have teenagers. She gave in to them. Let them go to the football game. I don't know if she here. I know my mama here. I know she remember. Anyway, they went to this game on the Sabbath day, right? On the Sabbath. It was the Sabbath, right? You should have had your butt in the house. What happens at this particular game, like out all the other times it could have happened, once we become aware of Yahuah's commands, now it's like, boom, okay, now you have to begin to make a choice, so this could have happened any other time, but at the time where we're practicing it, this happens when you decide to go against it. Is it coincidence? I think not, but thank Yah in his mercy and his grace that he kept my nieces and my nephews safe, because what happened at this particular game, somebody bought a gun. There was beef between somebody, but anyway, they was coming to the game. It was on the news and everything. My sister called me, oh my God, crying and stuff. I was like, wait, what? Calm down. What happened? They got to shooting at the game. And next thing you know, that the girls was running. They called their mom on the phone. She was out there. What? I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's those moments you're concerned, like not at that moment, you're like, I told you so. It's like, oh my gosh, like, this is really real. We really need to keep Yahuah's commandments, because it could be a test for us. Thankfully, nobody got hurt and the person was apprehended. But I tell you one thing. All right, babe, y'all be safe. Love you. It snapped my sister awake, and it's sad sometimes when we have to take something drastic like that to get our attention. But at least if we make it through it and we keep our lives, it's like, okay, we ain't playing with that no more. No. So even with that, when she told me, I'm like, oh shoot, what we gotta do? No, it's a Sabbath. Stay in the house. So try not to be like over religious and about stuff. Yeah, you remember the incident? I try not to be like over religious, but I just try to get my family in the habit. Okay, are we going to need something tomorrow? Even like when we go out, for things like I had to run to the store, I have to prep, be like, okay, Pam, get what you need from the store today. Go ahead and make the run. Thank Yah for Instacart, where we can like order groceries or something, because if it's getting too late and I need something, I got to get something else done, I can just put in the order and they'll deliver it right to the door, So there are some conveniences that we enjoy a whole lot, excuse me, that makes life a lot easier. So I'm just saying, y'all, that was just a couple examples, and that's like on the extreme side, but that's real life. That's what happened here, so I don't think it's coincidence that we're trying to get into the groove of keeping it, and something like this starts to pop off. Like literally your child could have lost their life, like, and you let them with their attitudes, because teenagers, sometimes they can do the most. But mom, it's homecoming, and why can't, oh my gosh, we got to sit in the house, all our friends gonna be there. Sometimes I get it. I done went through that twice. I still got a teenager in high school. Well, in the day of COVID, well, we ain't got to worry about it. Even before COVID, I had pulled him out anyway. He asked to be pulled out, be homeschooled again. So, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? So it's pertinent, but remember, hold on. But remember not to have delivery on the Sabbath. Oh, yeah. So you're not to work. And even though the delivery people aren't your employees there, you have employed them to do a service for you. Although they probably be out there anyway doing it, at least they won't be doing it for you, right? So if you're going to put in order, have it done before the Sabbath. That way, excuse me, at least you won't have the people coming to your house breaking it, although they may be totally oblivious that this is a Sabbath day and they shouldn't be working, right? So y'all get what I'm saying. So try to do everything, even your deliveries, make sure it comes before the Sabbath. Some things you may have done days before, like you order something from Amazon, there's really no way you can stop. They may just happen to actually deliver, so when they come, it's right down the porch, I just open up the door and bring it in, whatever, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? Yes, it was meant for the teens' eyes to be open too. Absolutely. Because you remember, even out here in the they had to know. Matter of fact, out here in the wilderness, as we'll see, it was the teenagers that got to enter into the promised land, and not the hard-headed parents. All the parents except for Caleb and Joseph, they died off in the wilderness. And it was the other generations, the children of those hard-headed ones, that got to enter into the promised land. So let's not be some of the hard-headed parents that have to die off or get dealt with as rebels in the wilderness because we wouldn't keep to the simplest commands. In this day of instant gratification, it does something to you. It really does. But you have to be careful and mindful of Yahuwah's law, statutes, and commands all the time. Okay, y'all. So let me go ahead. But I wanted to share that with you so you can get a boom. Wait a minute. What? This real life stuff that happened. So maybe you can think about it, and that way you can start being mindful of your own life if we're unconsciously doing something. You know, ain't nobody holding a gun to your head, but I'm just saying, if you really want to keep to it, just see how you can implement it daily. You know, just make it a part of life. Just like your breathing, we don't have to think about breathing. You know, we just it's a part of life. That's how intertwined Yahuwah's law, statutes, and commands is. We shouldn't have to like, oh my gosh, oh what? No, oh, that's too hard. No, it really should flow like we breathe in our life, right? Okay. This is why he gives you a 2-day supply on the 6th day, so there will be enough for 2 days. On the Sabbath day, you must each stay in your place. Do not go out to pick up any food on the 7th day. So the people did not gather any food on the 7th day. The Israelites called the food manna. It was white like coriander seed, and it tasted like honey wafers. Then Yahuwah said, this is what Yahuwah has commanded. Fill a 2-quart container with manna to preserve it for your descendants. Then later generations will be able to see the food I gave you in the wilderness when I set you free from Egypt. Moses said to Aaron, get a jar and fill it with 2 quarts of manna. Then put it in a sacred place before Yahuwah to preserve it for all generations. Aaron did just as Yahuwah had commanded Moses. He eventually placed it in the Ark of the Covenant in front of the stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant. So the people of Israel ate manna for 40 years until they arrived at the land where they would settle. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. The container used to measure the manna was an omer, which was 1/10 of an ephah. It held about 2 quarts. All right, y'all. So let's go to the next chapter. I'm going to say something about this. We'll come to it as we're reading in the Legends of the Jews when we get up about this, because you know me, my mind is like, okay, so I'm thinking about, because I got this thing about sanitation and being clean. I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. How do they take a bath and stuff, y'all? I was like, okay, this going to happen again. Hold on. Where's people going to go to the bathroom? We're going to be like, is this going to be like a wilderness, like the desert place? Or you talking about like in the wilderness of the people where there are always already amenities set up? We can go to the bathroom. I was like, because I don't know how this is going to work. But what's crazy was like 2 days after I was asking y'all that, I was like, I don't know. Is we really going to do this? Like this? Is people going to be digging holes and pooping and covering it back up and stuff? I was like, because that... I ain't questioning you. I was like, but my mind is going there and I'm wondering, I'm inquiring. But what's crazy was it talks about this very thing, which I did not know, and it blew my mind. But we're going to come upon it when we get there, right? It's absolutely amazing what happened. Oh, gosh, let me just read. When we get to it, you'll know, because I'll bring it back up. And I don't think we get into it today, but you'll know when we get to it. Okay. Exodus chapter 17. At Yahuwah's command, the whole community of Israel left the wilderness of sin and moved from place to place. Eventually, they camped at Rephidim, but there was no water there for the people to drink. So once more, the people complained against Moses. Give us water to drink, they demanded. Quiet, Moses replied. Why are you complaining against me, and why are you testing Yah? But tormented by thirst, they continued to argue with Moses. Why did you bring us out of Egypt? Are you trying to kill us, our children, and our livestock with thirst? Then Moses cried out to Yahuwah, what should I do with these people? They are ready to stone me. Then Yahuwah said, walk out in front of the people. Take your staff, the one you struck the water of the Nile with, and call some of the elders of Israel to join you. I will stand before you on the rock at Mount Sinai. Strike the rock and water will come gushing out. Then the people will be able to drink. So Moses struck the rock as he was told, and the water gushed out as the elders looked on. Moses named the place Massa, which means test, and Meribah, which means arguing, because the people of Israel argued with Moses and tested Yahuwah by saying, is Yahuwah here with us or not? While the people of Israel were still at Rephidim, the warriors of Amalek attacked them. Moses commanded Joshua, choose some men to go out and fight the army of Amalek for us. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill holding the staff of Yahuah in my hand. And remember, y'all, remember Moses when he went and got the staff from his wife's father, when he pulled it out the stone. Remember, this was a staff that had been around for a very, very long time. It was an ancient staff, and the staff had the ineffable name of Yahuah inscribed upon it. That's why he was able to do some of the miraculous things with this particular staff. And remember how powerful the ineffable name is, right? It's very, very powerful. And remember, it is by that name that we are saved. All those who call upon my name shall be saved. It will literally save you. We heard about the woman who tricked the angel. Remember when the angels came down, they saw how beautiful the sons of men, how beautiful the daughters of the sons of men were. And they began to sleep with them. But there was one particular, and I forget her name now, but we read it a few weeks back. And she told the angel, she said, teach me the ineffable name of Yah, then I'll give you what you want. Because he had asked something of her. And so he taught her how to pronounce the ineffable name of Yah. And once she knew it, she pronounced it. And boom, she said, I'm out of here. And who accounted that to her? He said, this woman is wise. And her name will be known throughout all the generations. I'm going to take her and I'm going to place her in the constellation. He said, because she did something wise to get up out of there and escape the wrath that's going to come on this earth. You know, every time a miracle was done, the ineffable name, as I read through, I'm like, oh, snap. That's what it means that all of Israel shall be saved by my name. When they call on my name, they shall be saved. Think about some of the other names our people been calling on. People still getting shot, going to the grave. What? Because remember, when the last of the sons of Jacob had fallen asleep in Egypt, and I believe it was Levi, it said Yahuah closed the eyes of the Israelites. He closed their eyes, and when he closed their eyes, he closed some spiritual gifts, which was why they lost some of their power, and Egypt was able to overtake them. But as long as their eyes were open, their spiritual eye, and the gifts were there, nobody could touch them. That's why Egypt allied with them, because it was like, we need these people on our side. And that's why they became a mighty power, because they still had them gifts and their eyes were open. But they was getting into some trouble with them gifts, and Yahuah closed all their eyes, and hence everything began to happen to us. Okay. So Joshua did as Moses commanded and fought the army of Amalek. Meanwhile, Moses, Aaron, and Hur climbed to the top of the nearby hill. As long as Moses held the staff up in his hands, the Israelites had the advantage. But whenever he dropped his hand, the Amalekites gained the advantage. Moses' arms soon became so tired that he could no longer hold them up. So Aaron and Hur found a stone to sit him on. Then they stood on each side of Moses, holding up his hands. So his hands held steady until sunset. As a result, Joshua overwhelmed the army of Amalek in battle. After the victory, Yahuah instructed Moses, write this down on a scroll as a permanent reminder and read it aloud to Joshua. I will erase the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Moses built an altar there and named it Yahuah Nisi, which means Yahuah is my banner. He said they have raised their fists against Yahuah's throne, so now Yahuah will be at war with Amalek generation after generation. All right, y'all, this last chapter, Exodus 19. Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, priest of Midian, heard about everything Yahuah had done for Moses and his people, the Israelites. He heard especially about how Yahuah had rescued them from Egypt. Earlier, Moses had sent his wife Zipporah and his two sons back to Jethro, who had taken them in. Moses' first son was named Gershom, for Moses had said when the boy was born, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. His second son was named Eliezer, for Moses had said, the God of my ancestors was my helper. He rescued me from the sword of Pharaoh. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, now came to visit Moses in the wilderness. He brought Moses' wife and 2 sons with him, and they arrived while Moses and the people were camped near the mountain of Yahuah. Jethro had sent a message to Moses saying, I, Jethro, your father-in-law, am coming to see you with your wife and your 2 sons. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law. He bowed low and kissed him. They asked about each other's welfare and then went into Moses' tent. Moses told his father-in-law everything that Yahuah had done to Pharaoh in Egypt on the behalf of Israel. He also told about all the hardships they had experienced along the way and how Yahuah had rescued his people from all their troubles. Jethro was delighted when he heard about all the good things that Yahuah had done for Israel. Excuse me. As he rescued them from the hand of the Egyptians. Praise Yahuah, Jethro said, for he has rescued you from the Egyptians and from Pharaoh. Yes, he has rescued Israel from the powerful hand of Egypt. I know that Yahuah is greater than all other gods because he rescued his people from the oppression of the proud Egyptians. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to Yahuah. Aaron and all the elders of Israel came out and joined him in a sacrificial meal in Yahuah's presence. Remember, when they're offering sacrifices, they're cooking, they're eating a meal, thanking Yah and eating a meal. And we miss that sometimes because we skip over it, but they're literally about to have dinner. They're having a feast. When you see sacrifice, for the most part, unless it's a burnt offering that's burnt up, but they normally do that anyway when they're preparing a meal to eat, right? On the next day, Moses took his seat to hear the people's disputes against each other. They waited before him from morning till evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing to help the people, he asked, what are you really accomplishing here? Why are you trying to do all this alone while everyone stands around you from morning till evening? Moses replied, because the people come to me to get a ruling from Yah. When a dispute arises, they come to me, and I am the one who settles the cases between the quarreling parties. I inform the people of Yahuah's decrees and give them his instructions. This is not good, Moses' father-in-law exclaimed. You are going to wear yourself out and the people too. This job is too heavy a burden for you to handle all by yourself. Now listen to me, and let me give you a word of advice. And may Yahuah be with you. You should continue to be the people's representative before Yahuah, bringing their disputes to him. Teach them Yahuah's decrees and give them his instructions. Show them how to conduct their lives, but select from all the people some capable, honest men who fear Yahuah and hate bribes. Appoint them as leaders over groups of 1,150 and 10. They should always be available to solve the people's common disputes, but have them bring the major cases to you. Let the leaders decide the smaller matters themselves. They will help you carry the load, making the task easier for you. If you follow this advice, and if Yahuah commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures, and all these people will go home in peace. Moses listened to his father-in-law's advice and followed his suggestions. He chose capable men from all over Israel and appointed them as leaders over the people. He put them in charge of groups of 1,150 and 10. These men were always available to solve the people's common disputes. They brought the major cases to Moses, but they took care of the smaller matters themselves. Soon after this, Moses said goodbye to his father-in-law, who returned to his own land. And that's simply delegating. And I'm very familiar with delegating, seeing that I have a background in the military. So I see how that works, right? You got matters, if you can't solve among yourself, then you need to go up. You need to escalate at a level. If the one who in charge here can't help, then we escalate it to the next level. You know, some things, everything doesn't need to go to the captain. We even practice this here. I teach my children how to practice that here. You know, I'm like, look, when dad in the house, y'all talk to dad. You know, I say, but if dad is gone, they know they come talk to me. But if it's something serious and that's hardly everywhere, we need to go and talk to dad about this before we make a decision. But there are some things like what me and dad need to talk about that. Like, I won't give my children one-sided information. Oh, well, can I go stay the night over our cousin's house? let me talk to dad first and we'll let you know later. So things like that. But I tell them, I said, listen, learn how to work out the disputes among yourself. I said, figure it out. Learn how to work together. I said, if you can't come to common ground, then you come talk to me and then we'll figure it out together. And if we can't figure it out, then we'll bring dad in on it. So I'm trying to get them in a habit of doing that. Jethro was a descendant of Keturah, son of Abraham, brother of Ishmael and Isaac as well, which makes us all cousins. See, if we pay attention to the details, we'll be able to put some of these pieces together, right? Okay, y'all. So let's go ahead and hop over here to Legends of the Jews. Where we left off yesterday, we are in volume 2. Okay. Moses marries Zipporah is the section. And if you got the same book I got, it is page 218. All right, people. Let's keep popping up on my screen. All right, y'all. Moses marries Zipporah. One of the 7 maidens whom Moses saw at the well attracted his notice. In particular, on account of her modest demeanor, he made her a proposal of marriage. Hold on. Where did I put this? I put this in the wrong place. We read this. I'm sorry, y'all. I did that yesterday, too. I keep sticking it back at the beginning of our reading. I'm sorry. That is not what we're starting today. We're starting on page 219, a bloody remedy. Page 219, if you have the book, it's literally just the next section over. And it's entitled A Bloody Remedy. Okay, page 219. The latter years of Israel's bondage in Egypt were the worst. To punish Pharaoh for his cruelty toward the children of Israel, Yahuah afflicted him with a plague of leprosy, which covered his whole body from the crown of his head to the soles of his feet. Instead of being chastened by his disease, Pharaoh remained stiff-necked, and he tried to restore his health by murdering Israelitish children. He took counsel with his 3 advisors, Balaam, Jethro, and Job, how he might be healed of the awful malady that seized upon him. Balaam spoke, "Thou canst regain thy health only if thou wilt slaughter the Israelite children and bathe in their blood." Yo, listen. Do y'all know they still doing some of these types of rituals today? Like some of the kids that get kidnapped and stuff, like some people that break free of this, they share their stories. It's rare that some people will live and break free from this, but they tell some of the gruesome things that they do when they kidnap people, especially people of melanated descent. Yes, like not only do they like bathe in their blood, but they drink their blood because they truly believe, they know that we are the sons and daughters of Yah. Like they really feel like that if they like drink our blood and stuff, that they themselves will become gods. They literally say that they are drinking the blood of gods, right? But they have to realize Yahuah took that power from us. He put us to sleep for a while, but still they know. But even still in its latent condition, our blood and stuff, it has some very, 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 very powerful properties that they are using today and a lot of different things, right? Okay, so just in case you didn't know, okay, thou can regain thy health only if thou wilt slaughter the Israelite children and bathe in their blood. Jethro, averse from having a share in such an atrocity, left the king and fled to Midian. Job, on the other hand, though he was also disapproved of Balaam's counsel, kept silence and in no wise protested against it, wherefore Yahuah punished him with a year of suffering. Right. Aliyah said, because that goes to show how much power we have in their minds, stealing our organs. We've seen a lot of cases about people finding some of our men and women of color, finding their bodies and finding when they do the autopsy that their organs are missing. Why would you take the organs? Because y'all up to shenanigans and y'all doing something. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. But afterward, he loaded him down with all the felicities of this life and granted him many years so that this pious Gentile might be rewarded in this world for his good deeds and not have the right to urge a claim upon the beatitude of the future life. In pursuance of the sanguinary advice given by Balaam, Pharaoh had his bailiffs snatch Hebrew babes from their mother's breasts and slaughter them, and in the blood of these innocents he bathed. His disease afflicted him for 10 years, and every day a Hebrew child was killed for him. It was all in vain. Indeed, at the end of the time of his leprosy, at the end of the time, his leprosy changed into boils, and he suffered more than before. While he was in this agony, the report was brought to him that the children of Israel in Goshen were careless and idle in their forced labor. The news aggravated his suffering, and he said, "Now that I am ill, they will turn and scoff at me. Harness my chariot, and I will betake myself to Goshen and see the derision wherewith the children of Israel deride me." And they took and put him upon the horse, for he was not able to mount it himself. When he and his men had come to the border between Egypt and Goshen, the king's steed passed into a narrow place. Oh, this is so disgusting. Listen to this. When he and his men came to the border between Egypt and Goshen, the king's steed, or the king's horse, passed into a narrow place. The other horses, running rapidly through the pass, pressed upon each other until the king's horse fell while he sat upon it. And when it fell, the chariot turned over on its face, and also the horse lay upon him. The king's flesh was torn from him, for this thing was from Yahuah. He had heard the cries of his people and their affliction. The king's servants carried him upon their shoulders. Oh, with blood and guts. You put him on your shoulder. That's nasty. And he probably stank. Huh. The king's servant carried him upon their shoulders, brought him back to Egypt, and placed him on his bed. They should have dug a hole and put him in it and covered him up. He knew that his end was come to die, and the queen, Anet, and his nobles gathered about his bed, and they wept a great weeping with him. The princes and his counselors advised the king to make a choice of a successor to reign in his stead, whomever he would choose from among his sons. He had 3 sons and 2 daughters by the queen Anet, besides children from the concubines. The name of his firstborn was Atro, the name of the second Adikam, and the name of the third Morion. The name of the older daughter was Bithia, and of the other Akuzit. The firstborn of the sons of the king was an idiot. The firstborn of the sons of the king was an idiot. Precipitate and what is that? Precipitate. That's it. That's what it says. It says precipitate. Precipitate and heedless in all his actions. Adikam, the second son, was a cunning and clever man, and versed in all the wisdom of Egypt, but ungainly in appearance, fleshly and short of stature. His height was a cubit and a space, and his beard flowed down to his ankles. The king resolved that Adikam should reign in his stead after his death. When the second son was but 10 years old, he had given him Gedida, the daughter of Abilat, to wife, and she bore him 4 sons. Afterward, Adikam went and took 3 other wives and begot 8 sons and 3 daughters. Yeah, he does have a sense of humor, right? Yes, I think all our people have a sense of humor. Like, our people can't take nothing serious. They always got jokes, especially some in the day of social media. I'm like, boy, we play too much, Father, but we get our sense of humor from you, right? The king's malady increased upon him greatly, and his flesh emitted a stench like a carcass cast into a field in summertime in the heat of the sun. Blech. When he saw that his disorder had seized upon him with a strong grip, he commanded his son Adikam to be brought to him, and they made him king over the land in his place. At the end of 3 years, the old king died in shame and disgrace, a loathing to all that saw him, and they buried him in the sepulchre of the kings of Egypt in Zoan, but they did not embalm him, as was usual with kings, for his flesh was putrid, and they could not approach his body on the account of the stench, and they buried him in haste. Thus Yahuah requited him with the evil for the evil he had done in his days to Israel, and he died in terror and shame, having reigned 94 years. Adikam was 20 years old when he succeeded his father, and he reigned 4 years. The people of Egypt called him Pharaoh, as was their custom with all their kings, but his wise men called him Akuz, for Akuz is the word for short in the Egyptian language, and Adikam was exceedingly awkward and undersized. The new Pharaoh surpassed his father Madol and all his former kings in wickedness, and he made heavier the yoke upon the children of Israel. He went to Goshen with his servants and increased their labor. And he said unto them, complete your work, each day's task, and let not your hands slacken from the work from this day forward, as you did in the days of my father. He placed officers over them from amongst the children of Israel, and over these officers he placed taskmasters from among his servants. And he put before them a measure, for bricks, according to the number that they were to make day by day. And whenever any deficiency was discovered in the measure of their daily bricks, the taskmasters of Pharaoh would go to the women of the children of Israel and take their infants from them, as many as the number of bricks lacking in measure, and these babies they put into the building instead of the missing bricks. Boy, I tell you, I would have been dead that day. They would have had to kill me. I don't care. I'm killing Massa today. You're not taking my baby. Boy, the taskmasters forced each man of the Israelites to put his own child in the building. The father would place his son in the wall and cover him over with mortar, all while weeping, his tears running down upon his child. I'm like, no, I'm glad Yahuah put me here in this day, because I would have raised an insurrection. I'm gathering some people. We had boy. Let me finish reading. The children of Israel sighed every day on account of their dire suffering, for they had thought that after Pharaoh's death, his son would lighten their toil. But the new king was worse than his father. Are these buildings still standing, Trina? I don't know. And Yahuah saw the burden of the children of Israel and their heavy work, and he determined to deliver them. However, it was not for their sake that Yahuah resolved upon the deliverance of the children of Israel, for they were empty of good deeds. And Yahuah foreknew that once they were redeemed, they would rise up against him and even worship the golden calf. Yet he took mercy upon them, for he remembered his covenant with the fathers, and he looked upon their repentance for their sins and accepted their promise to fulfill the word of Yahuah after their going forth from Egypt, even before they should hear it. I know, Trina, I'm mad. The first time I got to this part, I was listening to it. I was heated. I had to rewind it to make sure I heard it right. I was heated even more. I'm like, what? I'm like, nobody tried to stand up against them. I'm sure some people probably did, but they probably thought, it's fruitless for us to do this, because even the men submitted to putting their own babies into the walls, and said all while their tears were running down over their babies. After all, the children of Israel were not wholly without merits. In a high degree, they possessed the qualities of extraordinary excellence. There were no incestuous relations among them. They were not evil-tongued. They did not exchange their names. They clung to the Hebrew language, never giving it up. And great fraternal affection prevailed among them. If one happened to finish the tale of his bricks before his neighbor, he was in a habit of helping the others. As I read this, think about this. I was like, Father, this is definitely our people, because think about before think about how much of a community our people were. Even like in some of the ghettos and the hoods and stuff, you still see it, along with some of the shenanigans right around it. But we could be fighting amongst each other with inside it, but let somebody that we figure as an outsider come in, and even with our own households, it's like, no, Absolutely not. We'll finish our fight later, brother, but we need to fight against him now. But there was a sense of community. If you ain't had something, you can go to Miss Margaret down the street. Miss Margaret got something, baby, y'all out of food. We could see that in our community. We hear stories. Some of us are probably too young for some of these things, but our parents, like my mama said, she could probably tell you a lot of stories because I like to listen to her and her siblings talk about different things as they was growing up. But there was a sense of community, amongst our people. Right. And so I'm gonna go back here and read this. And although I'm gonna just go right back up to here. And although Yahuah said, I knew before I even rescued them, they gonna commit shenanigans and they're gonna start worshiping another God. They're gonna start worshiping the golden calf. He said, but he rescued them because they had some extraordinary characteristics of excellence about them. We had a strong sense of community, right? He said there were no incestuous relations among us. We clung to his words, the language he gave us. Listen, I'm going to read it again, y'all. Parents' job is to protect and love, even if sacrifice their lives for their offspring. Yes, and amen, aliyah. Yes, much community. Yes, I remember back in the day in the early 80s, it was like that in New York City. Yeah, so, but listen, I'm going to read this again. I'm going to keep reading, y'all. Where we at? Oh, we had an hour. Oh, my gosh. Okay, listen. And Yahuah saw the burden of the children of Israel and their heavy work, and he determined to deliver them. However, it was not for their own sake that Yahuah resolved upon the deliverance of the children of Israel, for they were empty of good deeds. And Yahuah foreknew that once they were redeemed, they would rise up against him and even worship the golden calf. Yet he took mercy upon them, for he remembered his covenant with the fathers, and he looked upon their repentance for their sins, and accepted their promise to fulfill the word of Yahuah after their going forth from Egypt, even before they should hear it. After all, the children of Israel were not wholly without merits. In a high degree, they possessed qualities of extraordinary excellence. There were no incestuous relations among them. They were not evil-tongued. They did not change their names. They clung to the Hebrew language, never giving it up. And great fraternal affection prevailed among them. If one happened to finish the tale of his bricks before his neighbor, he was in the habit of helping the others. Therefore Yahuah spake, they deserve that I should have mercy upon them. For if a man shows mercy unto another, I will have mercy upon him. And I'm going to stop it right here for today, y'all. Tomorrow we'll pick it right up here at the Faithful Shepherd. All right, so because we already at the hour point. I didn't realize I got to talking. It got so good. Okay, I remember when I did something wrong at someone else's house. They called my grandma. She would say, whoop her, and send, hold on. This won't open up. Okay. They would say, whoop her and send her home. I would get another whooping when I got home. I know, right, Trina? Okay, y'all. So I really enjoyed the reading today. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We read Exodus 16, 17, and 18. And we hopped over here into the Legends of the Jews, and we read page 219 to page 221. Let me write this down so make sure I put the right place. 221. Okay, jump over here. Start at 221. It's the Faithful Shepherd. I'm gonna write it down so I don't make that same mistake when we come back Wednesday. Okay. All right, y'all. So it is January 11, 2021, day 48 of year. We're reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, it is day 717, 717 days of actual reading through the scriptures, right? Okay. And it is Monday. All right, yeah, we're about to do the blessing. You know what? Let me do the blessing first, and then I'll bring up this point real quick. Oh, and the Legends of the Jews, we read page 219 to 221. Okay, let me do the blessing, then I'll bring up this point real quick, just in case people got to go. All right, remember the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, starting at verse 22 all the way to 27. Remember the Nazarite vows, the first 21 verses. And Yahuah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuah bless us and keep us. May Yahuah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Okay, beautiful people. Just a quick reminder about the Sabbath tomorrow. So the Sabbath, this is the last Sabbath of this month. And the last Sabbath, it's close to the new moon. So it's almost diminished completely of its light. If we see it, matter of fact, we're not going to see it at all, because it literally is the new moon, because Tuesday is the last Sabbath of this quarter, but the new moon will be spotted the next day. Like we will, like the moon is already completely black right now, right? But tomorrow we should be able to spot it, because she's going to start taking in some of her light, right? So we should be able to spot it tomorrow sometime throughout the day. And if you don't see it at all through the day, remember, because she rises and sets with the sun. And I put it in my other book. I got the time where the sun, just look and find out what time the sun rises tomorrow, and the moon should rise right along with it. But towards sundown, wherever you see the sun going down at tomorrow, remember the moon will set almost about the same time. It's a little bit after, I would say almost an hour after the sun sets tomorrow. But when the sun goes down at that time, if you can't see it at all throughout the day, the little bit of light that's in it, you should definitely see it right before it goes down. So remember, if you want to go out there and look, you need to, and it's going to set wherever the sun sets, wherever you live at, wherever you see the sun going down at, that's west. That's the direction you should be looking at, so if the sun is not out, it's cloudy, where does the sun normally set? It's that direction there, where the moon will also be setting, because as she gains light, she begins to fall back behind the sun. And remember, she rises later and later as she gains more light, until she's completely rising during the night hours, right? Okay, so I wanted to make that note. So this is the last Sabbath of this moon cycle, and the new moon will be spotted tomorrow, Wednesday. I'm sorry, not tomorrow, the day after that, Wednesday the 13th. Tomorrow is Tuesday. The day after that will be the new moon. We should see it, and it is going to begin the new cycle of Sabbaths for this next month coming up, which we will be entering into the 11th month of the year. So if y'all got planners, or put it in your electronic calendars, mark it if you're trying to keep up with it or whatever, or download an app. There's a couple apps that are pretty good that actually keeps up. Like I use the Moon app, and I use World's Last Chance calendar app, like I mentioned before. World's Last Chance calendar app is WLC calendar. It actually has the feast days and stuff and new moons all through there, so those two are pretty accurate, and I use those. So remember, the Sabbaths will change from Tuesday to Wednesday. So for the 11th month, the Sabbaths will be on Wednesday. So just in case you have the ability to adjust your work schedules or whatever, you can adjust it for the right day. So that was it. That was the only note I wanted to make, just in case you weren't personally tracking it, but you wanted to know. So yeah, that is it, beautiful people. What am I looking at? Okay. Yep. So yeah, even I wrote it here. I showed y'all this the other day. See right here now. Tomorrow we'll be at the 12th, and see how I track the moon phases. And so it's already sent, because it's right here. The last Sabbath is literally it's next to the actual new moon day. It's completely I didn't color it in, because I color it in to make it look full. So I use the colored in one for a full moon, but I leave it blank for like the new moon. Okay, so it's literally like the same phase, but she'll start taking in a portion of her light, 1/14th portion of her light. I believe that's correct. If you read in the Book of Enoch, it tells you each day how much light she gains. She filled to be completely full on the 15th day. She gains a portion. That's how the math is used in Enoch for the filling up. Each day is like a portion of light. So she takes in on the first day 1 15th of her light. Each day she gains a portion and she'll be that much more full. So on the third day, she'll be 3/15 of the way full, being 15th being full. And even after the 15th day, just like she gained light in portion, like that, she will begin to diminish light by that portion. She will lose a portion of her light. Like it literally goes through all the days. I forget exactly which chapter, but it's between 72 and 82 in the book of Enoch. So if you want to read it, have at it. Go ahead. But that was it, y'all. Yep. That was it. So enjoy your day. Prepare today as much as possible. Guys, I know if you have big families like I do, I still got 5 of my children living under the roof with us. So I gotta prepare big a lot of times, or just make smart meals. Like I think I'm literally gonna do a lasagna today for tomorrow. I'm gonna go ahead and get that prepared early and go ahead and cut up this salad stuff. So, but guys, I love y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And I will see y'all Wednesday. I'm just double checking, make sure. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, y'all. You're welcome, Ali, y'all. All right, y'all. Yes, y'all willing? We'll pick this back up Wednesday morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, beautiful people. Love y'all. I'm out of here. Bruce.